Awesome. All right, we are a little bit discoordinated or uncoordinated this morning because our Facebook was doing some funny things and our camera setup was also acting crazy. And so my regular Facebook will not allow us to broadcast today. We really have to transition to our old one. So welcome the people of God. I know we are 30 minutes late, but it is what it is. We are trying to do this on our own. Biafran mothers trying to work for the Biafran people. So this is what we have so far. God's willing, this thing will let us do the whole broadcast. So as usual, we are the Sisters of Truth or Daughters of Truth. I live here in Houston area, and my name is Mona Chimso Aga. So you can see it's a prophetic name. Do not mess with that. It's Mona Chimso Aga. And I have my sisters here with me to introduce themselves.
Good morning, lovers of freedoms all over the world. My name is Augusta Nosike, and as usual, we're just here to open our minds to the realities on ground. Thank you for joining in.
And then I
And
have
my name is Wada Ebutas Namadibegi. Greetings from Kentucky.
thank you so much. The same way. Can I have you say a prayer while I try to send this video to where you should go?
Okay. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning in a time like this when the world is so confused. We know that you're not confused. We know that you saw all these things even before now. It might be a surprise to some of us, but it's not a surprise to you. We pray, oh God, that you continue to protect us, continue to guide us in a time like this. We ask for wisdom to leaders of nations that they may be able to respond in a righteous way. Heavenly Father, we pray that you help us in today's broadcast so that it will be pleasing unto you. For we have prayed in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I was hoping that prayer will last longer so that I can finish my posting there.
Oh, yeah, maybe we'll start things
That's that's okay. We have to do what we have to do. It is what it is. So I'm looking down people because I needed to share this because it's not on our regular platform.
Yeah,
So
okay,
we
so
are
that
friends.
we too, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
We'll ask our viewers to also help us to share, so that
yes, and we
we
do
can.
want our viewers to help us share. So thank you guys so much. Our topic again is the part two of the on the rights of the indigenous people.
I don't know if it's just me. Am I hearing you well, sir?
You know,
Augusta?
can you hear? Audience, can we hear? If you can hear, let us know. And
No, I can hear the audio is clear, loud, and very clear. Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
it's good.
good. Yeah, because we Africans we like to shout when we're
No, I
talking.
can
So
hear Augusta more than you, but it's okay.
oh
Just making sure.
no, because I noticed lately everybody's telling me I can't hear you. I'm like, I'm African. You have to hear me. I shout when I talk, y'all. So I find that I'm lowering my voice even more than usual. But anyway, so last week we visited the Indigenous People Charter and we covered the articles 1 to 22. So today we're going to continue to from 23 to 46 of the articles. And this is a way for us to truly understand what's going on so that we will stop being deceived by things around us or for the fact that we don't understand the linguistics of language use and things around us and we end up going with someone that makes decision based on their feelings, which is disastrous. We cannot make a decision based on our feelings because if you do that, you may think you're going right side up, but you don't know that you're going upside down. We are saying this because our brain power and our sight, they are all limited. And nobody wants to fly with a pilot that is telling their passenger, I think I'm going north. I think I'm going north instead of using the compass or the control tower set at the airport. So in order for us not to be deceived, we must always look for objective standards and not what we feel. And the reason being that we can't go by on what we feel or emotions, because it can change at any moment. Some days we are sad, some days we are happy, some days we are glad, some days we are mad. So we can make decisions based on our feelings. And that's why we are bringing this topic today. Every decision must be made on objective standard. And this objective standard is what will set you. It's called the truth. That's another way for it. It's called the truth. It doesn't change. So even if you come from the north or the south and you look at it, it will remain the same. It is what it is. Nothing will change it. So we don't want our feelings to be the final arbitrator or determiner of our truth. We want what is out there, the objective things to be, because every one of us, we are not, we are limited in our smartness. Even if you're what is it called, Einstein, he was still limited in his smartness. The only one that knows it all is our Lord and our Savior. That's the one that knows it all. As the rest of us, we are ever learning as we go. Some of us are not, because we choose to be spiritually dead or even physically dead. So we cannot go with that. It's always good to know the objective truth so that you can speak intelligently on issues. And when people go back to check those information, it will remain the same because it is what it is. So with that being said, yes.
Sorry, I think it has now become important to qualify which Lord and Savior you're talking about, because I heard you mention Lord and Savior. Please, can you qualify it so that we'll know which one you're talking about?
There's only one, or do we have two? I didn't think I needed to do
okay,
that.
it's God, the God in heaven.
Yes,
Amen.
Yeah. There's only one, my dear. I've never acknowledged any other than the one that I have in heaven, the ultimate master of my life, the one that gave me the name Mona Chimsoaga. And since then, this man has been working with me. So how dare I think about somebody else, if not my Lord and my Savior? So we just have to be smart. Like we mentioned this morning, I started this topic by talking about being objective in our thinking, because we are limited in our smartness. Only God is the smart one. So we cannot be emotional. We cannot be going back and forth. We have to always use the objective standards. So the Article 23, continuing, we have this. Oh, let me post it on our thing so that if you want to follow.
Yeah, if you can pin it.
Yes.
So that I would advise people to follow through.
Yeah,
we know people would have read it before now. They can, continue to look at it as we explain.
Yes, that's a very wonderful idea. So let me just add it to our post. We are going to share the screen, but devil refuse. The Facebook is somewhere by Jazaga with that technology today. So I'm going to add it to this and hopefully pin it for. I thought I figured out how to do it last week. Pin comment. There you go. All right, so I have it pinned. So if you want to click on it, we are on the page 20 of that document. And like I said, I'm looking at Article 23. Article 23. So which states indigenous peoples. They keep referring to peoples because it's not just one group of people. They have the right to determine and develop priorities and strategies for exercising their right to development. In particular, indigenous peoples have the right to be actively involved in developing and determining health, houses, and other economic and social programs affecting them as far as possible to administer such programs through their own institutions.
Continue to 24.
Yes. And then Article 24 says indigenous peoples have the right to their traditional medicines and to maintain their health practices, including the conservation of their vital medicinal plants, animals, and minerals. Indigenous individuals have the right to access, without any discrimination, to all social and health services. Indigenous individuals have the right, or they have the equal right, to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. States shall take the necessary steps with a view to achieving progressively the full realization of this right. Again, we mentioned last week that the word state here is referring to the sovereign nation which the
Exactly.
indigenous people are domiciled.
Exactly. So, Sister Muna, if I may tackle that Article 23 and Article 24, is explaining the rights of the indigenous people to determine and develop their priorities and strategies for exercising their right to development. What is invariably saying is that the indigenous people have the right to develop their own quarters, their territory actually. They have the right to develop what is good for them, and that includes their traditional medicine. Remember, in those days, they used to tell us that taking palm oil it causes high level of cholesterol and all what's not, and that you rather take olive oil, granite oil, and all the rest. But the palm oil is actually the natural sense oil that we actually get from our land.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were also talking about the bitter leaf. Recently, we have the Western world developing bitter leaf into capsules. You understand?
To
This is what we have
cure
as our own
diabetes. To cure
medicine.
diabetes, yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It is something with diabetes and not what's not. So, but this is what we have as our natural medicine. I knew those days when my mom was diabetic, in as much as she was taking the pills, she was also using bitter leaf every now and then to check her sugar level and once in a while. So what are we saying? The indigenous people have the right.
So, Augusta, can I add something to what you're saying? You know, even in this day of this coronavirus, they talk about hydroxychloroquine.
Exactly.
We know that dogoyaro plants we have. It contains quinine.
Exactly.
We have these things and we have so much to offer to the world. Please go ahead.
Exactly. That's true. We have all these things. We have them already. You don't even have to wait one fancy looking pill to be able to survive. In this era of coronavirus, you don't even want to know what Africans are doing to get themselves, covered. You understand? Because guess what? We don't even have health insurance. We don't have health clinics. We don't have hospitals that will take care of the massive people that would have died of coronavirus. So guess what? We are doing a traditional bead, and that is, like the idea of using all kinds of hot steaming. Is it ginger, lemon, garlic, and all that? You inhale it. It helps to clear the mucus in your system because it's all about the mucus in the mouth, in the lungs. You understand? So it helps to clear the mucus in your system. So we already have all those things. We've already been doing this, all along. You understand? So the right
it's time for us to go back to who we are. Basically, that's what.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And the right of us, or we the indigenous people, to do things our own way is actually paramount for us, because if we go by this article, we are supposed to have a way to take care of ourselves. And the state, as we usually say, which means the nation, should
and
be
it's our right.
Yes, it's our right to take care of the individuals that are part of that, territory. And you also talked about physical and mental health. You understand where we come from. Anybody that has mental issue is always regarded as whether obanje or what, all kind. They read a whole lot of meanings into it. But guess what? We have a means of taking care of our mental issues if we are allowed to be. If we're allowed to be, we have a means of doing that. So they should, once we have our independence, so to speak, we as the indigenous people should be able to map out strategies on how to develop our community, how to develop ourselves, how to develop our healthcare, how to develop the economy. We have lots, gazillion ways to do that. And I believe if we get this right, we'll be able to move forward to the next stage. Thank you.
Absolutely, sister, and we must get it right. We've said this severally in our show that we did not find ourselves in Biafra land by accident, but rather we find ourselves there by design. And when God created the atmosphere here or the environment, He added everything that we need to sustain ourselves. So how do we live what God left for us? the man, the creator of the universe. How dare we leave what he left for us to go and look what other people are doing for themselves that works in their environment? And this thing is so peculiar that I was watching a show in Italy where they're growing grapes for wine. They name their grapes, their wine based on the area where it grew, because each and every one of them, I'm talking when you go from Houston to Sugarland, every one of them have different tastes from the grapes, but it's in the same vicinity, but each land in each area will give you a different taste of the same grapes. Do you see why it's important that we value what we have in our land? That Chukwokika Biama was not sleeping when he put those things in place. It was exactly to keep us whole, so that we don't suffer from things that we don't know. If we don't even have the resources to cure it. That's why he gave it to us. There's no need for us to suffer all those ailments because it's not meant for us. So I'm going to continue with Article 25, which say that indigenous peoples have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas, and other resources to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard. And then Article 26 said, we are on page 21. Indigenous peoples have the right to the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used or acquired. Indigenous peoples have the right to own, use, develop, and control the lands, territories, and resources that they possess by the reason of traditional ownership or other traditional occupation or use, as well as those which they have otherwise acquired. States shall give legal recognition and protection to these lands, territories, and resources. Such recognition shall be conducted with due respect to the customs, traditions, and land tenure systems of the indigenous people concerned.
Thank you very much. My comment, Articles 25, 26, talking about the territory of the indigenous people, the land they own. They have rights to use it according to their tradition and culture, the practice. So you find out that the territory, if you say you want independence, the territory you're talking about is very important. You have to be sure of what territory are we talking about. That's the first thing you need to define. Where I'm talking about, and it has to be official. You cannot just say, I think it's here, I think it's there. No. Because it's very important that the indigenous persons, like, you have to claim your own territory. You will not claim the territory of another person. So Ijaw people have their territory. So when they're going to represent themselves, they'll be talking about their ancestral land. Because it's the right, they have the right to their ancestral land according to their culture and tradition. Then Igbo people will talk about their own, Efik people will talk about their own. So they have representatives for all these places. They come together and agree. So that each person will be talking about his own ancestral land, not that of another person. So there is the right that we have the right to use that land according to our spiritual backing, according to our spiritual standard, whatever we believe. And when we talk about culture, I want to mention here that, you see, culture makes the people. I mean, how do I say it? No. Culture is to help the people. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to destroy the people. Most of the time, you find out that a culture comes about like a practice to solve a social problem. And sometimes that social problem no more exists, or it has been modified, or it has changed. Mm-hmm. So it's time for the people alive to now say, okay, based on this and that, we will now change this culture to fit our need. We were discussing with my sisters last time about some of the cultures, some hostile cultures against women, against widows, where they get them shave their hair, some wash the body of dead people and give them to drink, and all those sorts of nasty things. It's not that, because the culture has to be in conformity with human rights, internationally recognized human rights. So when we talk about culture, I want our people to be clear, to understand that we are not meaning that it should be there planning how to destroy another human being, or you're talking about freedom, the right of the people in the territory, the human rights have to be recognized as well. So whatever culture or tradition that is against the human right is not what we are referring to here. So we have those rights to use our land and our resources. And it has to be those within our own territory. Whatever the indigenous people, their own territory, they have that right. Please, let me stop here for now.
Right. So the Article 27 states says that states shall establish and implement, in conjunction with indigenous peoples concerned, a fair, independent, impartial, open, and transparent process, giving due recognition to indigenous peoples' laws, traditions, customs, and land tenure systems, to recognize and adjudicate the rights of indigenous peoples pertaining to their lands, territories, and resources, including those which were traditionally owned or otherwise occupied or used. The indigenous people shall have the right to participate in this process. Article 28, indigenous peoples have the right to redress by means that can include restitution or, when this is not possible, just, fair, and equitable compensation for the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned or otherwise occupied or used, and which has been confiscated, taken, occupied, used, or damaged without their free, prior, and informed consent. Article 28, 2 of 28, unless otherwise freely agreed upon by the peoples concerned, compensation shall take the form of lands, territories, and resources equal in quality, size, and legal status of the monetary compensation or other appropriate redress.
Yes, what they're trying to say here is that, the indigenous people, they have the rights of their lands. With that has already been stated. They have the rights to their territories. They have their land, their rights. Oh, I'm just confused. They have the rights to everything that they own. And if for some reason these lands were confiscated, seized, or taken over by another group, there has to be a redress. A redress in the sense that they either have to be compensated fairly. There has to be some form of compensation. It has to be an equitable compensation that it must equal what they lost. What they lost in the first instance, the compensation must be equal to that. It's either you give them back a land, if it was land that was missing or lost in the process, or you give them a monetary value of what the land is. Let's assume the land is 10 million naira or whatever the amount is. You give them back, you give them the money that is worth that land that was seized, confiscated, taken away from them for no reason. So the indigenous people have that right. They have that right to their own lands. They have that right to their territories. And if anybody or any group of people or any community is taking over their land, they should be heavily compensated. There has to be equal and fair to what was lost in the process. So there is no right for anybody to come up anywhere or from anywhere to seize the land belonging to the indigenous people. There is no reason for that. If that happens, there has to be a compensation that would equal what was lost.
Absolutely. But do you know the beauty of these things? Is that our land and our resources was taken from us years and years ago. And some person in their infinite love for humanity to humanity came up in 2007. That's when they drafted this charter to say they're giving us a clue here. They're saying, duh, Africans, that your stuff have been stolen for years. This is what you can do. Follow the due processes and get your stuff back. We're giving you the right under the UN Charter. The people that they wrote it for, did they even open it up to read it? No.
Maybe
they are putting everybody on notice. They are yelling, they are crying, they are doing all kinds of stuff instead of following the due process. These people wrote these things down, and we are going to use this thing to get back what belongs to us. We say get back what the devil has stolen from us. This is it. This is the document. They stole it from our forefathers, did all these things, and somebody in 2017 said, oh my gosh, we have to make this right. This is the right of the indigenous people to go back and take their properties that have been stolen for them long time ago, following again and again, following the due process. We are not going to kill anyone to get it. We are going to take these people to where we need to take them. International law, courts, whatever we need to take them to get our resources back, that's what we need to do. The good news that today begins our knowledge of knowing this, what these things are, and for the public to also know these things, so that when you go to Europe or you go to Italy and they have resources in Biafra land and they're telling you to go back to your country, you can tell them to give you back your resources.
Exactly.
I've told it to someone and they were like, what? I said, don't you dare tell people go back to your country. Give them back their resources that you are living off of right now, that your people stole. Mm-hmm. You can speak with authority because you know your rights. And that's why we're asking our people, begin to educate yourself. Stop wasting your data on gossiping online, talking down on people, watching nonsense, people showing their breasts and their whatever body part they want to show. Go and start reading. If you can read, ask somebody else. If it's too much, divide it into 10 and begin to learn this information, so that nobody will come out and tell you to go back to your country when they're stealing your resources. Nah, you don't get to do all of that. So Article 29, I hope, that's where I am. Yeah. The indigenous peoples have the right to the conservation and protection of the environment and the productive capacity of their lands and territories and resources. States shall establish and implement assistance programs for indigenous peoples for such conservation and protection without discrimination. States shall take effective measures to ensure that no storage or disposal of hazard material shall take place in the lands or territories of indigenous people without their free, prior, and informed consent, which is not happening. Chinese will get all their toxic waste and they will come and dump it in our land. Some idiotic government will take money from them to come and dump carcinogens in our land. And states, the part 3 of 29 says, states shall take effective measures as needed, that programs for monitoring, maintaining, and restoring the health of indigenous peoples as developed and implemented by the peoples affected by such materials are duly implemented.
Yeah. Can I come in?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the environmental protection. It's a big topic. Environmental protection. Like, if we don't take waste, hazardous waste, and go and dump it on the land and waters of the indigenous people, you don't have that right. So this article is telling us that the indigenous people have the right. It's like all this oil spillage going on in southern part of that country, the south area, the riverine area. They messed up the whole land, messed up the whole water. They can't even fish. They can't even the life as they know it. Mm-hmm. Yes, life as they know it has been bastardized because of oil spillage. So they have right to protect their waters and their resources and their land. And they said even when their land has been poisoned, they have the right to compensation. They have the right for it to be cleaned. They have the right for everything to be taken care of. They will fund it. The people that ruined it will fix it. It's the right of the indigenous people. They will make sure that they do that. Because you cannot do anything with the territory or the resources of the indigenous people without their consent. You must obtain their consent and follow through the due process to do that. But if you did not do that, sorry?
Yeah, unfortunately, Sister Kwi, our people of the riverine area, the South, supposedly South, as they're are usually called, are not even being compensated for anything. Mm-hmm. They are not being compensated. There is shell in Ogoni area or whatever. The last time I went to that area, I think I went to Eleme where they were doing this gas flaring. And I'm like, why would they do gas flaring when this gas could be collected and compressed and, it will form into something that you can use as your cooking gas at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was when I was doing my first degree in Ibadan. I was like, why would they have these guys? I wanted to. I was telling one of my profs in those days. I'm like, why are they not collecting this gas that is flaring? Why is it not being collected? Why is it burning? And when it burns, the suit. If you go to the average people living in Port Harcourt, or especially in that area, when you touch your skin like this, you will see soot everywhere. Your face will be so blackened that you'll be wondering what is going on. Our people are not being compensated for the damage that they do in our land. And these people are not ready to do that, to compensate us. You understand? And the funny thing is that our people have been so docile. They don't even know how to go out there and ask for compensation. Even though it is fully written here that they got to be compensated if their land is messed up. Nobody's going out there to ask for that compensation. That just sitting down there, maybe they will look for one thug that they will give money to be protecting their property from oil bunkering. But the truth about it is that they needed to be compensated. The water needs to be cleaned so that people can fish. The water needs to be cleaned so that people can get good drinking water to drink. Nothing, no compensation of any kind to the owners of the land. And this document says they got to be compensated. So we need to start asking the people that matter, hey, when will our people get compensated for all this rubbish you guys are doing in our land?
And you know what, Sister Augusta, you mentioned something now that reminded me. You're talking about the soot on the skin and the faces. Mm-hmm. Imagine the one that is inside the lungs.
The lungs.
The one that is lung. I hear that in that area that now some of them, when they cough out blood.
No,
we're talking about carcinogens. We're talking of lung cancers. We're talking of killing the people gradually. If the fishes in the water.
Non-smokers having lung cancer, and you are beginning to wonder where is it coming from.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know of secondhand smoking, but the fact is that they are not even near people smoking nicotine. They are just around.
There's no nicotine. You see, the skin is black, the face is black. What will happen to the lungs? So the stuff that you're seeing on the face is what is inside the lungs, and it will accumulate over time, and they start coughing out blood. And then lung cancer and all sorts of cancer will come in. So what we're talking here is huge. It's huge. I mean, if the fishes in water are dying, what is killing them? The chemicals there. How much more the human beings? How much more the children? These children are dying, their growth being retarded. Because if you don't take proper air in, you won't have enough oxygen for your brain to grow and your body to grow. You to be a human being. So you find out that over time they are being poisoned, their system being poisoned, their brain being poisoned, everything being poisoned. And they're so docile and just looking. So what we're saying is huge. We got to stand up because the world is so wicked. See, this corona episode is making us understand how wicked and selfish, greedy and the world is. So you have to protect yourself. You have to protect your people. This is when to do it. And the things have been, declaration has been made. It's well to make sure that these things are implemented, and we can do it together. Please, go ahead, Sister Mona, please.
Sister Augusta, please start reading for me. I'm doing something here real quick.
Okay, article, I think we stopped at article 30. Military activities shall not take place in the lands or territories of indigenous peoples unless justified by a relevant public interest or otherwise freely agreed with or requested by the indigenous peoples concerned. Number 2 of Article 30, states shall undertake effective consultations with the indigenous peoples concerned through appropriate procedures and in particular through their representative institutions prior to using their lands or territories for military activities. Yes, what this is trying to tell us is that there is no way in heaven you're going to have any military action without the consent of the people. The people must require, because sometimes you see them, they just carry the military down to the eastern region, Bua, for no reason. And they will tell you they're doing Operation Kill and Go, Operation this, Operation that, Operation that. You can't go into some people's territory with military paraphernalias or whatever and start exhibiting your military practice in the community without the notification of the entire, and not just notifying them, they have to give the consent. Say, hey, okay, go ahead. This is a plot of land where you can do all that, your exercise and all what's not. Because there can be some form of accident that would happen, and it means you are practically invading the lives of the people of the community. So you can't go there and have any military stage or any military whatever in a country or in a territory without the consent of the indigenous people. They have to approve it. So that is what Article 30 is saying. So let me read Article 31. Indigenous peoples have the right to maintain, control, protect, and develop their cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expressions, as well as the manifestations of their sciences, technologies, and cultures, including human and genetic resources, seeds, medicines, knowledge of the properties of fauna and flora, oral traditions, literatures, designs, sports, and traditional games, and visual performing arts. They also have the right to maintain, control, protect, and develop their intellectual property over which cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expressions. Number 2 of Article 31, in conjunction with indigenous peoples, states shall take effective measures to recognize and protect the exercise of the rights of the people.
Thank you, Sister Augusta. You see, some of this it sounds as if it's a repetition.
Exactly.
So why they're doing that is for them to emphasize what they're saying, to explain it in layman's terms, so that if you say you do not understand Article 30, Article 31 will explain it better for you. So here we're not talking about cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, the things that our forefathers gave to us, the knowledge. And we know that Africa is like, we have a wealth of knowledge. All those things that were handed over to us, our practices, to say we have the right to maintain and control them. Because they're ours, they're part of the resources, they're part of our heritage. Our food, everything, the way we dress, the way we do things, the way we marry, our culture, we have the right to maintain it and control it. And then he said to develop that intellectual property in our traditional knowledge. We have traditional knowledge. We have the right to develop it even further. Let's say our science and technology. We started dealing with metal, iron, long before the white man came to our land. We have these resources there. We have the right to pursue and develop that knowledge. The knowledge to do certain things, to produce this, to do this with the resources that we have in our land. We have the right to develop it. And in collaboration with states. State is not supposed to stop us. This one that when we want to develop something, some of we hear of our people, how they built a car and stuff like that. Then they will go and take the model to the so-called Nigeria. Nigeria will kill it and destroy the model, and it will never happen.
It will never happen.
And that's how people have been in poverty. People keep coming up with ideas, innovation, like Israel. They have our children. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, do you know that our children will dream up things and just start creating things that professors that have gone to universities don't even have idea of how to do. You say, how do you know this thing? You say, I was shown in the dream, or
exactly.
The idea was coming in me, and they were telling me, do this, put this, put this. These children are there, and they're waiting to be exposed to the world to stop some problems that the world is with, even this corona nonsense. I believe somebody in Biafra land, a child itself can even tell you what to mix up and clear the whole system.
Exactly.
We have the right to develop that knowledge and take it to whatever zenith we want. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a right to develop that knowledge. Remember, here in America, if you develop a certain drug, they give it a duration of patent rights. Yeah, they say 7 years, 10 years, depending on the kind of drug. And that means no other company can copy that drug. The drug would have a brand name, and that brand name is what it's going to be for a very long time. Then after the patent has expired, they will now, after the patent rights, the patent right has expired, they will now give the idea for other manufacturers to do the generic format of the drug, to bring the cost of the medicine cheaper. And why this happens, every other company will pick up, they may have different binding ingredients. They may have different binding ingredients, but it's going to be exactly the same quantity and the same active ingredient that will be in that medication. So why am I saying this? Is because America has pride when it comes to somebody manufacturing something. But guess what? In the zoo called Nigeria, we can't but call that country a zoo because that is what it is. With this coronavirus fiasco, you can still see that the country is not even ready to take care of her people. No. The government is not even ready to cater for the needs of their people. You just want them to quarantine themselves for 14 days. And after 14 days, they'll quarantine for another 28 days without resources to help their people live, in that condition. So people that made efforts back in the days, like I remember there was this engineer, I've forgotten his name, he's an Igbo man that made the first car in Nigeria. He presented this car to the Abacha's regime, if I may, I think he presented Abacha's regime, and they killed it immediately. Guess what? They killed it because they cannot imagine an Igbo man doing something that will be effective for the use of our people. So they keep killing the ideas of our people. They keep killing the ideas of the little man that wants to make life easier for the next person. So the indigenous people, they have the right to determine what they need to do. But as we've often said, the leadership is also important. If we don't get good leaders, we will continue to, lament in our sorrows. But I believe with what we are reading, people will start understanding that everybody has the right. If you're an indigenous person, you have a right to what belongs to you. So let's continue.
Absolutely. So I'll continue. So Article 32 says that indigenous peoples have the right to determine and develop priorities and strategies for the development or use of their lands or territories and other resources. Article 32, 2 of Article 32 states that states, which is a nation, shall consult and cooperate in good faith with indigenous peoples concerned through their own representative institutions in order to obtain their free and informed consent prior to the approval of any project affecting their lands or territories or other resources, particularly in connection with the development, utilization, or exploitations of minerals, water, or other resources. 3 of 32, states shall provide effective mechanism for just and fair redress for any such activities, and appropriate measures shall be taken to mitigate adverse environmental, economic, social, cultural, or spiritual impact.
Yes, what it's trying to say here is, it's the same thing that we have been saying, that the individuals have the right, the indigenous people have the right to their land, to their property, to their territories, and all that. We also have land to our waterways as well. We have land to everything that belongs to us. And if this thing wants to be exploited, we should be able to be compensated fairly. So, we've said this over and over, and, and as Sister Ekwe rightly said, even though they may all sound repetitive, the truth about it is that it's for emphasis sake. Because I try to make you understand that, hey, you have the right to this particular thing. You just have to know how to go about it. Mm-hmm. So we've said it, we have to be compensated. Whatever project has to be taken out, or, we have to give the consent before this project will be taken out. So that is what
absolutely
it's
saying.
And they have the right to develop like the strategies and priorities. Set the priorities. Okay, which one comes first?
Exactly.
But sometimes they will come and say, "Oh, we want to build cancer facility for you." Meanwhile, our people are dying of malaria and infectious diseases. Mm-hmm. We have the right to say, "Wait, cancer is not the one that is killing us now. Mm-hmm. What is killing us now is malaria. We want to build hospital for malaria. We want to develop drugs for malaria first. We have the right to say how to prioritize our development. Mm-hmm. Is it education that we need first? Mm-hmm. Is it we need primary education before we start going to the moon? We have that right, and strategize how we want to go about it. It is our right. Sorry, just to add that little one.
Of course, sister, it is our right. What is it called? The Bible said that our people perish because of lack of knowledge. And we thought they were talking about those people. I don't know who we think they are, because we thought we are smart,
When we have found out.
They don't. There's some couple of dumb people somewhere in far land that perish because they lack knowledge. They were referring to us. So we will never let that be our diagnosis anymore. We will never perish because of lack of knowledge. Our student loan will not go in vain. So,
Damn you. No, we are still paying on that. So
it will not go in vain. So Article 33 says Indigenous peoples have the right to determine their own identity and membership in accordance with their customs and traditions. This does not impair the right of Indigenous individuals to obtain citizenship of the state in which they live. 2 of 33 says Indigenous peoples have the right to determine the structures and to select the membership of their institutions in accordance with their own procedures. Sister Ekwe. Hello?
Hmm? Yeah, go ahead. 33.
Okay. Yeah, so it's saying that they have the right to identity, to their identity, irrespective of the citizenship they have. Because sometimes they try to say, oh, you're carrying a Nigerian passport. Yeah, it does not mean anything. That we are carrying Nigerian passport because we are confiscated into Nigeria does not mean that we will lose our identity. We are who we are, and we are proud of who we are.
Absolutely.
And we have rights to be proud of who we are, irrespective of whatever passport we are carrying. Because they already know that some indigenous persons have found themselves in some nations where they were arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were stolen. So he said you have the right to stay. I don't want to belong to this group anymore. I don't want to be a member of this group. But even when you're doing that, you have, irrespective of the citizenship. So they're trying to change their citizenship. There's indigenous person, there's indigenous people. They're recognizing what they did, what the colonial masters did. There are some indigenous persons that we are before now nations by themselves. We are added into one type of fake structure that they created and given certain citizenship. He said, even with that, you have the right to who you are. That's your identity. It is your right to maintain it. And that's what we're doing with them. So we want independence. And we keep telling our people, what we're trying to get, it has been done several places. People have done it before. USSR divided into 15 nations, So it's not a big deal. It's just that we have to follow the protocol. We have to do things like schools more, not like some people will say, please go ahead.
We have to help our gullible people as well.
Yes.
Because somebody is taking advantage of this restoration.
Doesn't make sense.
All right, Sister Augusta, your turn.
Yeah. Okay. Article 34. Indigenous peoples have the right to promote, develop, and maintain their institutional structures and their distinctive customs, spirituality, traditions, procedures, practices, and in the cases where they exist, judiciary systems or customs in accordance with international human rights standards. That will be Article 34. Article 35. Indigenous peoples have the right to determine the responsibility of individuals to their communities. Article 36. Indigenous peoples, in particular those divided by international borders, have the right to maintain and develop contacts, relations, and cooperation, including activities for spiritual, cultural, political, economic, and social purposes with their own members as well as other peoples across borders. Article 36, number 2 states in consultation and cooperation with indigenous peoples shall take effective measures to facilitate the exercise and ensure the implementation of these rights. So, Sister Munachi,
right. So, speaking about spirituality and traditions in accordance to international human rights standards, this almost reminds me of the division that was done when the Amazonians were taken over to Cameroon. And these are our brothers and sisters that if you stick your head in the backyard of your kitchen, you guys will bump heads. So they recognize that as well. That is okay, even though when the colonial master divided them and put them across the other international border, that you can continue your relationship, that you can continue to be who you are. And this is what we want people to understand, because right now they have destroyed us so much that Ambazonians don't even know that they used to be our brothers and sisters. I bet it was intentionally taken out of history so that they wouldn't even have a clue. They wouldn't even have a clue where they came from. So again, this charter recognizes that relationship that was existing before it was destroyed, that we can continue that relationship and be who we used to be, even though we are in different international borders. So hopefully our brothers and sisters again can begin to wake up and start reading this thing. Somebody put this thing down again, September 2007, trying to right the wrong. The problem is that the victims or that sustained this blunt of the colonial masters, they haven't even dived into here to see what their rights are. So hopefully we are doing a good job by bringing it up to limelight.
Yeah, that's right. Some of them don't even know that it exists. So us making it very pushing it out there would allow a lot of people to know what they are
can I add a little thing? And that shows you, sorry, and that shows us that the people that made this declaration know us.
They were intentional.
They were intentional. They know the problem. They are not just writing for writing's sake. Even when we talk about Ambazonian, even Yorubas, you have Yoruba in Benin Republic.
Mm-hmm.
You have Yoruba in all sorts of
in
places.
Togo.
In Togo. So they know what the colonial masters did. So you trying to say we are putting the world on notice, it doesn't make sense to someone like me, because the world is already aware. If they were not aware, they will not put this down, this type of declaration. They will not put it down. You see, they're very explicit. They're very detailed. So literally to say that the people you're interacting with know you. They know your problem. They're not putting them on notice. They're aware. You just go and follow the protocol and do the right thing.
Yeah, that's right. We need to follow the protocol. It's a process. We need to follow the process. If we don't, I mean, we're just, lamenting. All right, Article 37. Indigenous peoples have the right to the recognition, observance, and enforcement of treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements concluded with states or their successors, and to have states honor and respect such treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. Number 2 of 37. Nothing in the declaration may be interpreted as diminishing or eliminating the rights of indigenous peoples contained in treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. Article 38. States in consultation and cooperation with indigenous peoples shall take the appropriate measures, including legislative measures, to achieve the ends of this declaration.
Can you read that again?
Yeah, 38 says states in consultation and cooperation with indigenous peoples shall take the appropriate measures, including legislative measures, to achieve the end of this declaration. This is very important. Yes, go ahead.
Very, very important, because sometimes when you try to explain these things to our people, they don't get it. You see, UN expects that there should be consultation and cooperation between the indigenous persons. We're supposed to be having meetings, having dialogue. This thing that we want to do, how do we want to go about it? And when we talk about indigenous persons, like now in Nigeria, we have a lot of indigenous persons. Our neighbors, some in our immediate, some in the same area with us, some are our immediate neighbors. It's so terrible. My people are so ignorant that there's this platform where I belong to, and then something was posted, and the man started with Yoruba before he spoke English. One woman came out so vehemently. Who is it bringing this in this language? What are you bringing this language here? What? I was like, this one doesn't even have a clue of where she's going. Yeah, there are the people championing freedom for us. These people, you need to collaborate with them. Exactly. No matter how you did them, no matter what your parents told you or whoever that is mentoring you told you, I'm injected a lot of venom in you, so much hatred in you. When you are done, when you are done with all your hatred and spewing out all the nonsense you're spewing out, you settle down and go and sit down with other indigenous persons around you. Have collaboration and cooperation, how do we get ourselves out of this
mess
that we found ourselves?
Monumental mess. Mm-hmm.
Yes. How do we do it? Because they're in the same problem with you. If you try to do it alone, as you are coming out, they are bringing you in. Like what happened in 1967, 1970. The war against us, the people that helped them, they were our neighbors. Because there was no proper cooperation. Why? Because the war came suddenly. It came on us. So we had to defend ourselves. So we didn't have time to do proper meetings, discussing with our neighbors, saying this is this for you. Because they don't trust you.
Yes.
They don't know what you have in mind. So you have to go and sit down on the table so that the terms and conditions will be agreed upon. Then you sign documents. It's not just saying on broadcast, hey, you are with me or I are against me. No, nobody does that type of nonsense. You will sit down on the table. This one will say, this is what is in there for me. This is that what is in there for me. And then we will agree and sign documents. We will sign. And then we move. That's what you were
exactly. Like LNC was doing this alliance territory. Yes. You know, when they talk about alliance territory, it means that we have to collaborate with these other people.
You must.
Yeah,
you must.
Yeah, not you being so derogatory. You are supposed to talk with these people. There have to be negotiations. You know, when you are trying to have some form of is it some form of meeting, or you're trying to have some form of let's assume you want to you have how do I put it now? You have a project. The first thing the person would ask, what is it in for me? I want to know what I would gain from this project. And the person will say, oh, this, and you get 20%, 30%, 40%, you know, we share it that way. So these people, there have to be a form of alliance. And then else have told us about the territories that we're supposed to be, you know, in conjunction with, that we're supposed to work with. Because if you don't not work with these territories, they will seem as if you are trying to usurp them in some kind of way. So the cussing out a Yoruba man, this was what we did in the past, probably due to naivety or whatever. There's no need for that. You have to collaborate with the Yoruba man because he is in the same hot soup as you are. And get out of that hot soup. But he wants to make sure that if he's getting out of that hot soup, nobody's going to pull him back into the hot soup. So that agreement has to be made. The negotiation has to go on. And, you know,
in addition, we have many of our brothers and sisters living in their lands, and no amount of restoration. They're not even listening to all of that. So
exactly,
imagine if we get those people on the side of what we're trying to do, the impact it will have on our people. And we keep emphasizing, you cannot fly with a pilot that is flying. He said, I think I'm taking off. Yeah, I think we are going north now. Yes. Instead of using the tools that is already there. There is a compass. There is the control tower. You book around millions of people. Yes, I think I'm taking off. We'll be getting to our destination when we make a
directing.
I think that's not that we are going now. It will.
And I think it will crash.
My dear, I don't want to crash you, man. I have so much work to do on this universe. I do not want to crash. So all we are saying is for us to use the objective standards. Let's not be emotional. Let's not be using our brain when we can use the compass and the control tower. And that's what this document is telling us. Lord,
can I add something when you're done, please?
Yes. Our God has been so kind that someone went back, recognized all the evil that was perpetrated against our people, and they tried to make it right inside this document. We understand that this document will allow us to take on challenges, speak intelligently, even when we are living in their country. Because you cannot be sucking the oil in my land, taking the resources in my land, and you're making me sound like I'm a foreigner in your land. But you are in my land also, eating my food. At least here I'm working.
Living large at my expense.
Yes.
I have to work for every dime.
I have to work for everything. You are in my land stealing resources for free, giving me what you want to give me. So it's important for us to understand our rights. Thank God for education. Thank God for technology. We just have to use it to get where we are going and stop being emotional about it. And stop being emotional.
I want to say something. I want to add something to what Mr. Augusta said. Yes. You know, because in the later part of the last article we read, he was talking about legislative measures. And for the past, like some people, what they explain to us that if you follow the legislative measure, that we are less. And because of that, we don't have that legal power, enough to fight. But with the alliance territory,
exactly,
as Sister Augusta mentioned with LNC, we now become the majority. It's about knowing how to navigate these things. If you know how to navigate, you will know how to empower yourself.
Exactly.
If you don't know how to navigate, you just be shouting around like a lunatic. So with the alliance territory, we are now the majority. So we can follow legal proceedings. And get what we want. And this declaration has said it. So it's about understanding where you're going and how to go to where you are going. Sorry.
Good job, Siseki. I like the connection about that. I like for people to understand, because we are not saying that you don't deserve our indigenous rights or whatever. We're saying that, unfortunately, you can see when we conclude on these articles how they ended it. You must. No amount of lamentation, no amount of traumatic pictures, no amount of anything will cause them to deviate from the standards. That's why we have to follow the standards. There is no other way. We cannot lie about things that is being done or whatever. You must have to go through that pipeline. There is no escaping from it. Sister Augusta, please continue.
Yeah, that's right. We must have to follow due process. It's so important we do that. So let's continue. We are on Article 39. Indigenous peoples have the right to have access to financial and technical assistance from states and through international cooperation for the enjoyment of the rights contained in this declaration. Article 40. Indigenous peoples have the right to access to the prompt decision through just and fair procedures for the resolution of conflicts and disputes with states or other parties, as well as to effective remedies for all the infringements of their individual and collective rights. Such a decision shall give due consideration to the customs, traditions, rules, and legal systems of the indigenous peoples concerned, and international human rights as well. So, Sister.
Absolutely. So the right to access financial and technical assistance from the state to achieve goals through the international cooperation is there. So we're saying this is like an example of using the state to fund referendum, and not for individuals to be asked for money to fund referendum. Because if you understand this, these things has been implemented in these standards, in this charter, that when such condition comes up where there is a referendum needed for what we needed to achieve, that the state shall fund it, not individuals. Again, it goes back to us following the protocol, understanding what the standards are, understanding what the foundation that have been laid down there for us to follow, so that nobody will deceive us, so that we are not flying with a pilot that think they are going nuts instead of using the compass. Again, making references to what works is what will stop us from being scammed. This victim mentality of being scammed every time in our lifetime, because that's what we just love to be scammed. That's who we are. And then we create opportunities to be scammed. I remember telling a story to one of my sisters about a guy that ripped us off, and my sister said, did you follow the due process? I said, what do you mean? She said, you guys go around and set up all these opportunities for people to steal stuff. And then when they steal it, you start crying wolf. Oh, whereas when you were signing the business with the person, you did not follow the due process.
Exactly.
You did not have them sign where they're supposed to sign. You did not have them give up something for the money that you're giving them. You didn't do your part. So you create the atmosphere for scamming, and then when you get scammed, you go radio without battery. Cause yes, you know, on a phone, you say, you start talking to people that didn't even know you were doing business with that person. Follow the due process, people. Do the right thing. Follow the due process, because one day isn't it your brother? You're going to kill him? But if you tell that your brother, I am going to take your land, I will take even your wife and your children, I'm going to take this and this, sign here for me, go and notarize it. At the end of the day, I will come after you.
Exactly.
Not that self alone will make the person. They will not do the wrong. Even if devil presents himself, they will not venture to do the wrong thing. We
Yes, Sister
must.
Muna, if I may comment, you talked about, individuals donating money for referendum, and it's not supposed to be. The state has to actually manage these financial processes. So we want our people to start opening their eyes, to see and also to hear what we're talking about. That no one single individual would ask you to donate money for referendum. All those plays to end. As I see them, they're all shenanigans by an individual trying to, gain authority to himself and, make money off of our people's sufferings. So no one person, no one individual is the state. And when we say the state, we're talking about the nation. Is the state that would bring out the money to finance the referendum of our people.
And if I might add, a little, can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's something they mentioned again in latter part. It said prompt decision. Mm-hmm. That the people are entitled to that it's not like, okay, you be darling, they said they want independence, you are using this to waste time and do that. He said the state does not have that right. That the people are entitled to prompt decision through just and fair procedures for conflict resolution. We are not the first to have conflicts. All over the world, they settle conflicts. You have conflict resolutions. And they have a system that is fair and just. And they said you do not have right to delay the process. You don't have that right. Because the people are entitled to have access to prompt decision.
Sorry, and all these things entails accountability, and that's what we're telling our people. You cannot be giving things to someone and the person is not accountable to it. It does not work anywhere in the Western world.
You can ask questions.
Even if it's your mother, your father, you don't get to do questions. All of that. You have to do what we call accountability, and that's what is holding us, especially we the Easterners. This thing are solar and even when you want to ask, a mad person will come out and say, why are you asking? Or when they trust the person. Why is it that when we have retirement, every quarter they will send us explanation of where our money went with the pie chart and all that information? Accountability is important in all that we're doing. No sentiment, no amount of emotional disturbance or whatever you want to call it should come into what you're doing. Because if you are not objective, if you do not allow the objective standard to be the determiner of what you're doing, then you're not telling yourself the truth. You're creating opportunities for people to steal. You're creating opportunity for people to be taken advantage of. You're taking opportunity for even scammers, the people that are calling other people scammers to scam you. Because when you scam, you become you go right. You find yourself in the scamming territory. So all we are asking is for people to do the right thing. Thank God for grace that is sufficient for all of us. Turn around from where you are, do the right thing so that people can get where they're going faster. Sister Augusta.
Exactly. So Article 41, the organs and specialized agencies of the United Nations system and other intergovernmental organizations shall contribute to the full realization of the provisions of the Declaration through the mobilization, inter alia, of financial cooperation and technical assistance. Ways and means of ensuring participation of indigenous peoples on issues affecting them shall be established. Sister Ekwe.
Yes, you see, they have, after writing this declaration, they did not just, they know that you need assistance to implement these things. So they have gone ahead to mandate specialized agencies and then intergovernmental organizations to go and assist the indigenous peoples to achieve this declaration. Specialized organs, they are aware that you need help. It's not what building a nation is not like building what do they call it now?
Football club or something.
Yeah, football club or one sort of. It involves a lot of technicalities.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know. Like like in the time past, when I've engaged some of these my so-called freedom fighters, I asked them, I say, you're going for international meetings. Where are your diplomats?
Exactly.
Do you think that such meetings is what you just carry some businessmen and say, let's go, we'll have to go and meet somebody.
The pot belly.
Yeah. What are you doing? You're making a mess of the whole system. So you have systems in place, already in place. You have the diplomats, you have the organizations, you have all these things. You want a new nation. All you want is independence. And they have organs and agencies already specialized, trained. That's their job. Existing. All you need to do, they have been mandated that by the time you have done all the necessary things that you need to follow all the protocols and due process and everything, they have mandated them ahead of time to assist you to set up what you want to set up and have all the things. I don't even understand how people like to suffer like this. Somebody has finished work for you. You to carry it, except to scam people. I think it's because you want to scam people. That's why you're going through the back door. That Jesus said, that wedding that he said some people now enter through the window. And Jesus came and said, how did you come into this wedding? You don't have the uniform. You didn't follow due process. That means you entered through the window. Oh yeah, throw him out. I think that's what we have to say.
Yeah, exactly. And the truth about it is that, we've often been asking, where are our diplomats? Mm-hmm. Where are our
professionals?
Yes, where are our professionals? Mm-hmm. Why are they not part of this struggle? We've often asked, and the idea is that they are just entangled with one Nigeria. They are the one Nigerianist and know what's not.
There's a lie.
We've often seen like, why wouldn't our professionals come out and let's get this freedom? Because we need them. We need them.
And they're out already. They're working. It's just that some people are lying against them and giving them negative publicity. Publicity. And maybe we don't go anywhere.
We didn't know that our professionals that they've left us behind. They're now like, hey, you guys don't even know what we're talking about. We've gone ahead. We're just so close to the end point. So we've often asked those questions where our professionals are not, what's not, and we don't see
sisters, them. Come on, get in my plane. Hello. I think I'm taking off.
We're not following you.
It looks like we're going nuts now.
We've often asked those questions, and they've also shut us down. Hey, keep quiet. It's command and control. Follow whatever comes. And some of us are like, yoik. We're trying to run away from the zoo, and you are trying to encapsulate us.
Please, my people, don't join any flight that is thinking they're taking off.
We don't need to enter that kind of airplane. So we've often asked, where are our professionals? And the truth about it is that they've actually been working all along. It's just that some of us haven't seen it, or probably we get so bamboozled with the one man.
No, they're shutting them down. They're intentionally shutting them down. They say they're giving them negative
publicity. We're not asking our professionals wherever you
are. They're working.
If you had a negative publicity from an emperor, it's time for you to step up. Oh, I don't want to speak French. It's time for you to step up. Don't mind the negative publicity. Come out and do the needful. So that we can take things out of the blue. We don't want a situation where a riffraff would come out there and declare what doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. This article has already told us how to go about it. And we thank the people of LSC that's been part of this. Yes, I really, really want to commend them because it's not easy. This is what we've been looking for. Give us the blueprint, give us the roadmap, give us ideas so that we'll know where we are going to, and we know where we have, because we already know where we're coming from. So we know where we're going to or where we are at the moment. So these ideas are not the response have not been very, it's not even coming forth. Because
there's no blueprint now. Can you give what you don't have?
No blueprint. Even
you can't give what you don't have.
Copy. The blueprint they have is copy and paste.
They don't have blueprints. It's plagiarism. They don't. If you have that, you will take it.
Exactly. If you have it, you would say it. You will not say, oh, you have 3 of the blueprints. Somebody else has 2 of the blueprints. Your assistant or your deputy has 2 of the blueprints. And some other people have, what the heck? What are we even entering? And of
We know day.
we're not into that anymore.
Sister Augusta, you better continue to the next article before I take you north and crash you.
No, we need to know what's inside that vehicle before we enter. So the idea of going here to the Namoto, no, does not.
No. That's 19 points.
It doesn't work like us. We're smarter than that, and that is why we want our people to go and read this article. Wherever you are, just go on YouTube, on Google, type United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Indigenous People. It's going to pop out there. Read it and let's understand that no one single man can bamboozle you out of your hard-earned currency and make it his own. No, we're not going to allow that. Mm-hmm. So I'm so sorry. So our professors are actually working.
Knowledge is power.
They are. Yeah, even though we have a riffraff saying the intelligence, the way it normally says it, that they have been, I'm like, what the hell? I'm sorry, that French we can't say.
He doesn't know now. He doesn't know. You know.
That's just...
We're not laughing at anybody, but just that we keep saying it. Maintain your life. Don't dabble into what you don't know.
The truth has to be told because we need to make our people realize where they are going to. We've all been there. Right. We found out that it doesn't make sense. And we need to pull our people out as fast as we can. The truth has to be out there. Go read this. This is what would help you. And so that people stop getting emotional. There is no 50 million being sent to any Biafra lab to take care of your COVID-19. COVID-19. There is no 50 million anywhere. This is razzmatazz. Okay. Oh,
there
is no 50 million being sent. If you had 50 million, why haven't we gotten the referendum since you can finance the referendum bill? You understand? So our people got to get a real gist so that we don't get about all these things.
Sad.
Okay. Let's go to Article 42.
Right. We're going to use the compass and the control tower. We are not going to crash.
We got to use. If we must find, and this is women. When women start flying planes,
I know I will use the compass and I know I will use the control tower. I'm not going to tell you guys I think, okay? So no worries.
Okay.
We are with you.
Let's go to the Article 42. United Nations, its bodies, including the Permanent Forum or Indigenous Issues, and special agencies, including at the country level, and states shall promote respect for and full application of the provisions of this declaration and follow up the effectiveness of this declaration. That is Article 42. Article 43. The rights recognized herein constitute the minimum standards for the survival, dignity, and well-being of the indigenous peoples of the world. Article 44. All the rights and freedoms recognized herein are equally guaranteed to male and female indigenous. Let me read that again. All the rights and freedoms recognized herein are equally guaranteed to the male and female indigenous individuals. That would be Sister Muna.
Yes, my dear. Thank you so much. You know, the Westerners a long time ago recognized the power of their female gender in their communities and what they can do. And they have even gone further in movies. If you guys recall that movie from James Bond, the lady that is in charge of coming up with strategies on how to destroy any target is the woman. And then she will pass it on to James Bond, and James Bond will go and execute that information. So the rights of, back home, especially in Africa, indigenous female are not well respected. There are, even some of them will go on the national platform. The zoo president will say their wife belongs to the kitchen and the other kitchen and the other kitchen, right? That's where he think his wife is. Whereas you see, and you see, well, mire anu ehi ọ na-aṅụ ara ya from the farm. So, but he wants his wife, which speaking, when you see the lady speak, you know Buhari cannot even tie the shoe that she's wearing. But Buhari wants the wife to go and belong in the other kitchen and this other kitchen. And we are saying that's not going to happen. Even the indigenous, the UN Charter recognize the power of female, and they're recognizing that it's important to offer or extend the same rights to men and to women. And usually when we come and work together, we can get things done. It's only when you start looking at the other one as okay. By the way, here it doesn't work that way, which you guys know. So we have to do the things right, and these are the things that UN is looking at. If you claiming that you want freedom, are this freedom being extended to women and children? Are you on that freedom that you say that you want? So for us to be whole and move as a unit, we must have to ensure that everyone in our land have the same rights that other people do have. Thank you.
Samuna, yeah, thank you very much. So we need to go to Article 45 and Article 46, which is the last one. So nothing in this declaration may be construed as diminishing or extinguishing the rights of the indigenous peoples. The rights the indigenous peoples have now or may acquire in the future. Then Article 46, nothing in this declaration interpreted as implying for any state, people or group or person any right to engage in any activity, to perform any act contrary, the word is contrary, to the Charter of the United Nations, or construed as authorizing or encouraging any action which would dismember or impair, totally impact the territorial integrity or political unity of sovereign and independent states. The number 2 of Article 46, in the exercise of the right enunciated in the present declaration, human rights and fundamental freedoms of all shall be respected. The exercise of the rights set forth in this declaration shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law and in accordance with international human rights obligations. Any such limitations shall be non-discriminatory and strictly necessary solely for the purpose of securing due recognition and respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for meeting the just and most compelling requirements of a democratic society. Number 3 of Article 46, the provisions set forth in this declaration shall be interpreted in accordance with the principles of justice, democracy, respect for human rights, equality, non-discrimination, good governance, and good faith.
Can you read that again?
The provisions set forth in this declaration shall be interpreted in accordance with the principles of justice, democracy, respect for human rights, equality, non-discrimination, good governance, and good faith.
These people have finished work.
Yeah.
This is what I call UN disclaimer. They're telling you everything. And then I said that there's nothing that is written here that gives you the right, whether a group or anybody, to violate the rights of other indigenous persons. Mm-hmm. Now you must respect the human rights and the fundamental freedom of other individuals within your area and even in your neighbors. Human rights and fundamental freedom, you must respect it because they know what human beings can do. So in you exercising all this, they are not encouraging you, that they do not in any way give you the permission to go and start talking to people anyhow or doing certain things. You must observe the principles of democracy in everything you're doing. Then you must engage in activities that will not bring disrespect to the people, and that they are not telling you to engage in any unorganized activity that will lead member of any sovereign nation, like we were saying before, that the Nigeria we're trying to come out from is a sovereign nation. You cannot just force and start throwing things at them and all that. No, there are protocols to be followed. And that's what is expected. You should not, they are not encouraging you to cause violence. You must respect human rights and fundamental freedom of others that are either within what you're doing or outside. So you must follow legal guidelines and protocols, both at local level, at international level. How do you follow legal guidelines when you don't know what the guidelines are? When you have not read the guidelines? You see, you'll be doing things and breaking laws and just messing up everything, and thereby delaying our. Meanwhile, our independence is already in our hands. But because you don't know these things, you don't know what the legal guidelines are, the rules and international laws, everything is set together. You think this is about Apuruka? Everything is in Apuruka inside. You get fake one and add. No, our people are dying. And any minute, like my sister usually said, any minute that Biafra or whatever nation that we're looking for is not restored, or any minute that this evil enclave, this Nigeria, that is even worse than zoo, I call it even evil forest. Any minute that is still existing, our people die. Look at this coronavirus that we're talking about. Corona has killed 2 people. The military has killed whether up to 100 people.
It's sad.
If military will kill people, why not just allow them to go and contract corona or whatever, so that we will now use our local medicine to treat them? There's a lot of things going on in that area, and we can't afford to delay any further. We will not allow people that, because of their selfish interest, want to waste our time and make and introduce unnecessary delay in what we're doing, because you want to be Alpha and Omega. It is not fair to our people. Our people are dying. We need this freedom, and we already have tools. There are tools already set down for us to use. And it might interest you to know that we're not the first to begin to talk about dismantling of Nigeria. Yes, they've started. Pronaco. Go and Google what is called Pronaco. Check the year it was done. Over 100 signatories came together for 2 years, worked on how to dismantle Nigeria. Those people are still working. From time to time, they have acts where somebody out of selfish reason will do something, and then they will bring them back to the line on what they're doing. This is what was done in South Africa. They didn't even have this tool that we have. It was South Africa that these tools were put in place.
Exactly.
That's why their own took them so many years, like 80 years. But it was only towards the end, the 27 years end, that they started implementing. That's because Nelson Mandela, a lawyer, and the other lawyer, 2 lawyers, got involved and told them, this thing that you are going up and down, it's not the way. The problem here is the apartheid constitution. So let's work towards bringing down the apartheid constitution. That's how we get our freedom. And for 27 years, they followed this due process. They didn't have this UN declaration by then. But today, our own is shorter. This declaration is here already. The tool is there. And work has started years back. For 21 years, we are close to the end of that work. It's just that out of selfish, people with selfish intentions, greed, just came in and introduced a lot of disorganization. Everybody started quarreling with everybody. We started fighting with our neighbors. We started fighting our neighbors. We don't trust you anymore because of the things coming out. Our children will go on social media abusing anybody they see. You don't know who is who. You do not know who is who. Yet you want to form a nation with them, and you are abusing them up and down. We won't let that happen anymore. We are closer to where we're going. And it's not by noise making. It's by sitting down and following the legal guideline that has already been set. And then we get home. The earlier we get home, the better for us. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. The earlier we get home, the better for us. And that's why we are asking for people to again follow the due process, follow the objective standards, In that case, whether you come from Jericho or you come from America, it will remain the same. It will not base on emotion. It will base strictly on facts. So it's important for us to say. Even I accuse myself of having emotional issues. You know, people ndị go m wayo de ha ka nkụ de ha kụọ m aka ntị hie ma chere ha the other cheek onye nke ọzọ akụọ m ya because I wasn't being steady in who I am. I'm going back and forth. So it's very important for us to be grounded in what we are doing, being emotional stable, looking at things from objective way in an objective way versus, oh, I don't want to hurt Sister Ipri, I don't want to hurt Sister Augusta, I don't want to do all these things. Again, in all of this, we're saying that the grace of God is sufficient enough for anyone to start doing it right from today. Okay, today you can start doing it right. You have done it the wrong way. It's not too late for you to get it right, because any day Biafra is not restored is another day for our people to die. We just need things to be done the right way, and no one will intimidate us into playing politics with the lives of our people, into saying, where were you before? Were you talking before? Yes, my dear, you were living in the zoo. I've been here for over 30 years. I've been talking. It's just I have not been talking to you. So we've been talking. And we want to talk on behalf of our people, not because we have. That's another difference. You guys have to look at who is gaining from this. I'm not getting anything from this. My only gain is for the freedom of my people, the true freedom of my people, so that people can go and work and take care of their problems. So when somebody calls me from the zoo country, I won't think they're asking me for money. It will be like, oh, I'm actually calling to say, see how you're doing. For people to go and work and pay their children's school fees and take care of their problems, not calling 011234. I mean, how do you even call America? Every chance you get. You guys don't know the amount of stress. Thank God, luckily for me, I'm not in that position. But I have lots of colleagues that the stress of that zoo country is killing. It's even worse here in America now as we are talking because of this coronavirus. Remember, we keep telling you guys in this show that people are living like roommates. Now they're being quarantined in one room. We're hearing that divorce rate has gone up. People are filing divorce. I'm like, are they filing divorce online? How are they doing it? They can't stand each other. The stress of people back home. You have to worry about, okay, right now, they've been asked to stay home. Do they even have the resources? They don't have the lights to buy enough food to keep. They don't have water in their houses. Some of them had to leave their houses to go fetch water. So you see why we cannot play politics. You see why we cannot shut up. You see why we cannot take it slow. You see why we cannot go or not again or there. Are you the only one there? Shut up. Because as a mother, we hear the cries of our children every time. We hear the cries of our neighbors every time. We hear the cries of in our dustbin. We hear the cries. Maybe who got a man gets got important before, or come up a woman gets pregnant out of wedlock and the man will support the person. It's always the woman that will fall on. So we cannot afford to play with you guys. We cannot afford to be quiet with you guys. We cannot. Because every day we see this evil going on in our land, it takes away our spirit. It's like a woman whose child died, whether accidentally or otherwise. It will never, ever, ever, ever be the same. No amount of healing, even from Jesus Christ of Nazareth, will make it the same. Do you see why we don't want to see any more death? Do you see why we don't want to see any more injustice? Do you see why we don't want to be playing games with the lives of our people, where we are collecting dues? All we are saying is get it right. Again, the grace is sufficient for you to get it right. No more defrauding our people. No more selling them fake news. No more deceiving them. If we have the resources to help them, let's help them. Let's not make promises that we cannot keep. Our people have suffered enough. I don't know how people do this to them and they sleep at night. Our people have suffered enough. I cannot think of any other people, especially of African heritage, that have not seen hell on this earth. That I'm saying, if there's a greater hell, I don't even know what it would be like. Please, let's do the right thing, people. Let's do the right thing. Stop being emotional. Be upright. Every time, even when it's uncomfortable, Grow the balls. If you don't know how to grow, go and use fertilizer and grow the balls to speak the truth, especially when it matters. Especially when the lives of our people are in danger. We cannot afford to play games anymore. We need all the people in our territorial alliance to come together so that we can become the majority and move along in this what is it called, in this whatever we are trying to do anymore. I'm lost of words here. We cannot afford to delay
in
anymore.
our quest for independence.
In our quest for independence. I wish I have the money, my dear. I will hit one bang and make it good for my people. That's how all the deep in my heart.
But actually, what we need now more is brain more than money. We already have the resources. It's to have the brain to know how to follow the legal guidelines.
Right.
What to do.
Right.
It's more of brain. We want our people more to develop brain. Starting with reading this article.
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, Sister Ekwe, we actually need brain, not money at this moment. As you rightly said, the resources are there. And as the article that said that is actually the state, that's the nation that would finance whatever. And the tools are there. So it's just for people to read with their clear minds and not to be deceived by somebody trying to, enjoy, self-aggrandizement and all what's not. So that is one thing. And one thing we have to know that we Africans, we have the issue, as rightly said, emotional. We are too emotional. We are too sentimental. We have this we believe that some certain people that have God complex should be worshipped and not what's not. But the truth about it is that nobody needs to be worshipped. The idea of the United Nations Declaration has already written this. Ours is to read it and know how to follow. In the early stages, we have one, I think, Sister Ekwe, if you remember, there's this Swedish economist. He was the second secretary of the United Nations. I think in the early 50s or 40s. I'm not totally sure. Mm-hmm. So the guy's name is Dag. Amashog. He's a I can't pronounce that name. Amashog. So if you go and Google, you'll find out that this guy knew or that Africa has to be treated differently. Yes. That Africa has to be held with kids' gloves and not to be treated as piece of whatever. As animals. As animals, yes. He was advocating for Africa to live a better lifestyle. He was advocating for Africans to rule themselves. Yes, telling the West to leave them alone. He was advocating for the West to leave Africans alone. He was advocating, but unfortunately, you know how they do now. Oh, they killed him. They killed him. They murdered him. The colonial masters murdered him. Exactly. Because they know that if Africa gets it right, they are gone. They know that. And they know that if Africans start doing the right thing, that these monies that comes to them, freely, they will no longer be able to get that money and spend it. So when we are talking to our people, like somebody was saying on Facebook, why are we talking down on one particular person, blah, 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 he is making our people aware of the restoration. The truth about it is that he is not making our people aware of any restoration. He is filling his pocket for his own personal needs. That is what he's doing. And I'm going to say it. And I don't want anybody to think, oh, maybe because he's suspending. Oh, no. God has nothing to do with that. We moved on way long before that. Because we found out that there was nothing that he is doing for our restoration. So our people should know that. We are not being sentimental here. We are not being emotional here. We are telling the truth. And you know what? The truth is the only thing that is constant. So go and read this declaration. It's for start using your brain. Don't allow anybody to come and mesmerize you. So people have what is it called? They have their diction. They have good words. They can talk and you. It's called.
It's called good command of English
language. Good command of English language. Yeah.
I know for anybody business now. It's good for business now. It's not for you to be a good marketer. You have good words for marketing.
We're not here to castigate anybody with the truth. We just want the truth to be known so that we would understand where we are coming from. No one single person will get you Biafra if you do not go through this. I remember at the bottom, at the end, the declaration says you cannot conjure, you cannot try to put things that are not in this declaration if you are looking for your freedom. So don't allow any one person to tell you, oh, I went to UN, I spoke to one dignitary in the UN. We didn't see you speaking to no dignitary. When we saw you in front of the building, raising your hand like that.
And you can't even do that.
And you can't even do that. If you spoke to a dignitary in the United Nations,
for your business,
press conference. There will be press conference. We will
Exactly.
hear from the United Nations telling us, hey, these people came, they want their restoration, blah, 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 blah. And the United Nations will tell you, hey, did you go through their declaration? Did you read this? Have you communed with all your people? Do you have an alliance territory that you're working with? They are going to ask you all the pertinent questions that are important for you to get the freedom. So let's stop being sentimental and start covering for some person that is just there for his pocket. It is there for his pocket. And let me say this. I'm sorry. Let me say this. Nigeria did not offer anybody any oil well. So don't go with the idea, oh, they offered me to oil well. I left the oil well just to fight for your freedom. That is hogwash. That is what it is. Nigeria, the oil well in Bayelsa, only Jigawan way. So how would they offer it to you? So don't even start getting so emotional.
And you know what? Do you know those oil wells are actually owned by the
Western world?
Yes. So nobody has it to offer you.
The Jigawa man that is manning the oil well, and we're stipend.
They give them percentage. Yes. They give them percentage.
2%, 3%.
So who is offering you what?
You guys have let the cat out of the hat.
So why not stop getting so emotional that, oh, they offered me oil well, I didn't take oil well, and yet I'm doing the restoration. That is so dadash. We cannot continue in that kind of storyline. It's not going to work for us anymore. So nobody offered anybody any oil well. Nobody. The custodian of oil, the watchman of the oil well. The oil well, Shell went, Exxon went, Chevron went, Philip, whatever their names are. They are the owners of the oil in Bayelsa.
That is true.
And that is why they are not taking care of those places. That is why they are not doing any cleanup because they don't care for your Africans, your bamboos and monkeys. So they are not taking care of Bayelsa. So nobody offered anybody oil well so that he would not. It's
all about emotional manipulation, propaganda and lies. Somebody will say, hey, do you know somebody
to bring our people down? And because our people really want freedom at all costs, they continue to listen to all these jibes and all this thing, and they fall gullible to his hands, and he continues to manipulate them and tell them, do not ask questions, because if you ask questions, you have to listen. It is command, it is control, it is. Are you zombie?
The latest one they come up with now is like, oh, they have lost so much. They lost this. When you are doing business, you lose something now.
You lose something now.
Are you not doing business? You're getting something, so you're losing something.
Now,
you lose your father, lose mother. It's part of the business.
Who send you message?
Who sent you message?
They send you. They send you.
And our people have lost their lives.
At the end of the day, that money cannot be accounted for. Forget all these receipts that we are throwing up and down.
It's for business now.
Cannot be accounted for. After all, they just disbursed supposedly 50 billion. Did you see anybody that the money was given to?
From where to where?
That the money was
From where to where?
From where to where? What money transfer did they use? Is it Western Union or MoneyGram? Which one did they use? Or did they give it to one singular person to go and hand it over? Or who did they give it to in Biafra land? And people need to stop being sentimental.
They need to wake up. We can't waste time anymore.
We can't waste time. We don't have time for all that. But
No.
In our forum to start yapping at us, hey, guess what? We are not interested.
People are losing lives. Widows are losing their only son.
Yeah.
People are losing their people.
People are losing their husbands, their children.
Husbands,
and
children.
we're telling you that you don't even need to go out there and shout, oh, hey, Biafra anymore. Because we have to go through this declaration. United Nations say if you do not go through this thing, they will not listen to you. So forget the fact that it goes in front of a building and all hey Biafra. Hey, he's working. Let's forget that. And he has a lot of fake accounts. Those fake accounts, he uses it to praise himself. So don't stop getting gullible, our people.
That is interesting. All right, so we are calling on the professionals. We are calling for those that understand what it takes to get where we are going to come on board. If you are confused, if you are sentimental, if you are untruthful, If you cannot handle the truth, like American will say, get out. If you cannot handle the truth. So again, we are the daughters of the truth. We are here to call a spade a spade. And if you see where we have got it wrong, please come on and say your own part. So it's an open forum, but it has to be done intelligently for us to understand what your points are. Because you start talking gibberish or you start spelling your words with Yoruba language inside English language, you will miss your mark. So get it together before you comment. So we want to thank you guys again. Thank God for a day like this. Thank God for education. Olaini, right? One way house and the colonial master, they took our resources. We got some education where we can read their own language. So thank God for that. And right now they can't come up with changing their language to writing in something we don't understand. So it's written in something that we do understand, and we have.
If they change their language, we go and learn it.
Okay, if they bring a new one, we'll go and learn it.
If they bring a new one, we go and learn it. If they use sign language, we go and learn it.
Try, yes.
Whatever they want, bring it on. We go learn it.
I'll follow them.
Right.
Follow them.
So
Bumper to bumper.
If they speak it in Yoruba, I can interpret it. If they speak it in Igbo, Sister African.
Yes.
Right. So in this precarious time, we're asking our people to be vigilant. This is an opportunity. I was so happy to see what people like, especially when it comes to building these mats. This is an opportunity for us to take back our power. This is the opportunity for us to do things for ourselves and stop looking at foreign things. These foreigners will do is called capitalist intent. They want money at all costs. It means they have to put coronavirus on your mask for you to die. They won't skip their mind though. So the earlier we start doing our own things and supporting our own small businesses, that's what we're doing here in Houston. We are buying gift cards so that when business kicks off, we can use it to go and support our local businesses. We are doing things because it's the local businesses that sustain the communities, not the big time companies like AT&T and ExxonMobil. It's the local ones, mom and pop store, the ones that sells candy on the other side, donuts, individual own family. Those are the people that support the local economy. So let's start looking to do things on our own. Let's stay away from foreign things. Let's start growing things in our backyard. Let's start raising animals like we used to. Find a place that you can raise your animals. All these things. If you go on YouTube, we keep telling you guys this. They posted all the evil things they are doing. All this food they are bringing you to eat, whether it's frozen chicken, frozen turkey, they are putting chemicals in it. And that's why you see someone that never drank before will come up with liver failure. You know, carcinogens everywhere. Are we talking about environmental pollution that they have everywhere? So let's use this opportunity to rethink our steps, to redirect our minds and start doing things locally, start producing locally, and let's start supporting our local products. Remember back then when we were growing up, Taiwan, actually maybe. I see the I hear Taiwan is going to spoil, it's not good. But now Taiwan is doing, I think Taiwan is the one that do LG TVs and the refrigerators and all this stuff. So let's this season begin I feel like God is something spiritual for Africa with this coronavirus. He's telling us it's time for us to start manufacturing for ourselves. He's telling us it's time for us to pick up our equipment where we left it before, thinking we are flying to America, we're going to overseas, we are doing this, we are living the American world. Let's enjoy what we have in our environment and find a way to refine them as we go so that we can support each other. Because this is it. Nothing else is good. God is not going to come down from heaven to do it for us. We keep reminding you that he was there 600 years ago when the colonial master brought the humongous ship called Jesus to come and collect our people. Maybe that's the name they gave you so they wouldn't capsize. Eh?
Yeah, they just gave it. They were just being religious and gave that name to it. Don't mind them. You know.
And they know that our people is when it comes to religion and
they'll think they're entering Jesus' boat.
Yeah.
But when it's all about business.
Yeah, you know,
it's just like people that are naming something and putting Elohim and using the name of Elohim. They know our people are sentimental and religious, so they will use ever brand. What brand name that will appeal to our people? That's it's just business. Whether black man, white man, is business.
It's all
Right.
about it. It's all about it.
So God was there the whole time, has been there the whole time. They came with their Jesus ship, took all our brothers and sisters, and they sent them all over the world. So again, it goes to tell us that God cannot do for man what man should be doing for himself. So let's do for ourselves. Let's use our innovative minds because we do have it. Even though they've been polluting our environment to kill us and stop our pituitary gland and pineal gland from growing, Chukwu Okike Abiyama is doing his part. So let's use this time and be innovative at our environment. Look around and see what you can make something out of what you have so that we can use that to liberate ourselves or our dependence on all these Western products because our God made our environment and the other resources in it for our good. And for us not to use it is almost a slap in God's face. So we thank you guys for joining. Sisters, your final words before we close.
Just want our people to just be focused. You understand? Be focused is what it is and is doable. Other nations they went through the process, so we would also go through the process. We're not going to jump ship because somebody somewhere has a magical band or magical wand to get us our nation. We're going to go through the process, and it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So our people, we should be focused. And please read the declaration. It's important so that you don't get by by people. The scammers are out there, and they want to use their emotions to get what they want for themselves. Thank you all our people. We're wishing that next week you'll join us for more exciting because we'll continue to talk about this so that people would understand what is going on. We'll talk about other nations that have used the same method to get to where they are. And we'll believe, with that, it will open the eyes of our people to see things the way they should really be. Thank you all, and I hope to see you next week.
Thank you, sisters. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, our brothers and sisters are watching us. We just want you to always know that sovereignty belongs to you. It was not taken away. Power belongs to you. Power belongs to the people. Nobody's going to do it for you. You will do it yourself. That is what God, your creator, expects. That's why he's not doing what you should do. So stop sitting down and calling him to come and do what he has given you the power to do. Sovereignty belongs to you. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Absolutely, thank you. So one is asking, are we against Biafra? I guess our brother is still confused. So we are about the
Message to watch
restoration
our
of
videos from beginning.
yeah,
You should
we
go
are
and watch our videos because we are not here to talk to children that can't reason. If you
yeah,
are an adult, you listen, you know where we're going.
right,
Declaration is for independence, nations.
right,
So, like we said, we're not here to exchange words with children.
right,
Get matured, read the document. Ikwaka, you'll be on the table to eat with kings. So go and wash your hands, get informed, and then you come. Let's go to the table and discuss with the nations how to get our nation. Thank you.
right. And we thank you so much, sisters. So we do want to thank our brothers and sisters working underground with this platform, with this declaration to get us where we need to go. They are not making noise. They are not in the social media. Because really, and that's the way I look at it. If you like have a job, I cannot afford to do this more than once. If it's the once a week is wiping me out. So it's only when you don't have a job would you have time now buying internet. My time is very precious to me. So I know our brothers and sisters that are working underground, they don't have time for broadcast, they don't have time for Facebook, they don't even have time for themselves. So we want to acknowledge them, we want to thank them. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to lead them as long as they are doing this and truth. Because even those people, if you try to take advantage of our people, Idabala Nonya, 3 women. 3 Biafran women, we will deal with the person too. So we are not here to play with the lives of our people. Anyone working for our people must work truly for our people, not for your pocket, not for what you will get, not for your position to be a president or whatever you think you are. You must represent my people well. No exceptions, including me, Sister Ekwe, including you. If you deviate, I will take you down. So that's just the way it is because we are going to work from an objective standard. The truth will always remain the truth, even when it's hurting the other person. If it's the truth, we must speak it. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. May Chukwu Okike Abịama bless our people during this time of coronavirus. Amen.